I've always been the bad kid in the family. Cousins became doctors, teachers, artists, and many other things as adults. In the meantime, some smart business choices have helped me make a small but steady net income. I don't need anything fancy, but I can afford a one-bedroom apartment in New York City and get by with a part-time job in a coffee shop. My parents and everyone else in my family are very critical of me because I don't try as hard as my friends do, especially one cousin who we'll call Randy. Think of the normal dude, bro, who got rich by working for his dad. That's Randy if you multiply that by 10. Anyway, he was always putting me down, and I finally just turned them out. I enjoy my life with my partner, work part-time, and still have enough money to buy what I want. To cut a long story short, Randy is married and has 2 kids. She is not his wife. I learned this one day when I was walking through the city and saw him going down the street with a woman who wasn't his wife. They had their arms around each other. I looked at his Facebook page and saw that he had indeed written that he had been to a bagel shop in the city that morning while on a work trip. He was, in fact, in the city. I thought to myself, duck it, let me see how this goes. I followed them for 5 hours and took several pictures of them, including one of them going into a hotel together. I saved these and didn't open them until Christmas of that year, which was about 6 months later. I dropped some printed pictures in front of everyone at the table before dinner without any ceremony. I made sure his wife saw them, get ready to scream and fight. I got a black eye because of it, but Randy's dad did it, not him. Police show up and ask a lot of questions. Unfortunately, my partner and I are kicked out. After one last call to the police, we go back home. After that, my family cut me off from everyone for a few years, except for Randy's wife and another cousin who hates Randy. Anyway, even my parents were always upset with me for not putting in enough effort, so there wasn't really a loss. Randy got a divorce and lost full control of his kids because he made threats against his ex-wife. When my family tries to get me to say sorry, I usually say something like, I'm not going to apologize for telling on a cheating. And they block me for a few months. The kids call me uncle, and my partner and Randy's ex-wife are good friends. It's nice to have a family that loves me no matter what for once. My family last tried to get in touch with me when my significant other and I got married. They were nice this time. I guess it hurts them to see me move on. I don't know. Maybe they remember that their hitting bag is no longer there. That's pretty much it. With a good family now instead of a bad one, I'm living my best life. Several comments say, wow, you're a bad person for having a negative reaction to abuse and not handling it like a golden human being. So I'll explain. People who said nice things about how wasted my potential didn't just say, oh, your cousin's a doctor, what about you? They said things like, I can't believe Randy just closed a deal for X amount of dollars. Are you still working at that terrible cafe? Are you still seeing what's her name? The girl with the big stomach? Aren't you ever going to do anything with your life? I'd feel so worthless living like that. The worst ones were when they told me it was better I didn't try because I wouldn't amount to anything, and other mean things like that. I don't want to remember the worst ones. I get that Randy is still family to them, but why would they side with him or against you when he cheated on his wife and broke up his own family? You shouldn't have to say sorry to a jerk like music. We had Thanksgiving with my mom, my stepdad, and my stepmother-in-law. My kids always know they don't have to kiss or hug someone if they don't want to. My 5-year-old daughter gives my mother-in-law a hug because she feels bad for her. My 7-year-old son doesn't want to, and that's his choice. My mother-in-law isn't a bad person, but I've always had the sense that she doesn't really like any of us, and only does what she has to do out of guilt or duty. Even though my husband is an adult, she feels like she has a duty as a mother. Even though their cultures are different, she paid for our wedding and helped us buy a house, but she never shows up. She also feels very awkward around kids. We went because it's always fun for my kids to see all of their step-cousins. My son would hug everyone else but his mother-in-law when we got there. Note, I think this makes her feel bad, so I don't think she wants a hug. Her husband tried to take my son on a field trip, but I stopped him because I don't let people use my feelings against me. At some point, mother-in-law needed a shot, so she told her husband to go get one. One of his grandchildren came with him. The husband of my mother-in-law has 7 grandchildren and is very popular with them. He came back with candy for all the kids, but not for my son. Not even for my daughter. But I thought I didn't owe anyone anything, and I'm not responsible for other people's feelings, he said when I gave him the "what the duck" look. This is the same language I use to explain why I don't make my kids hug. It was clear that my son was upset because he was left out, and also because he really likes my mother-in-law's husband. My mother-in-law's husband told me that he doesn't like how my son treats his wife. He knows it's bad, but kids need to learn hard lessons from time to time. I took away my daughter's candy, gave it back to him, and then we left. That man will never see my son again, I told him. Our mother-in-law is welcome to come over if she wants to. He will never be seen again, and she has never seen him before. They have become close with his grandkids, and all 3 of his children told me that they would no longer talk to me if I did this. My husband doesn't like what he did, but he thinks I'm exaggerating when I ask about playdates. He is from a different time and society than us, and he thinks we should talk it out. But I think it's really bad for an adult to do that to a child. I agree with OP that they should teach their kids other ways to greet each other besides hugging. For example, they could teach them how to shake hands, give a high five, blow a kiss, or even make and bring a card. They want to show their mother-in-law they love her, while also setting clear physical limits. The OP seems to have said, "Don't hug your mother-in-law if you don't want to." I know it sounds bad, but here's what it means. There are 15 girls and 17 boys in my family. When I lived with my mom and stepdad, I'm now in college, I did all of their jobs, like washing dishes, doing laundry, cleaning, running errands, and more. Even though none of my brothers did. They said this because you're older. I told them many times that my brothers were old enough to share the chores too. But my stepdad always yelled at me and called me ungrateful, even though he fed me and gave me a house over my head. That line has been thrown at me over and over again. My brothers can get any kind of money, gifts, or electronics they want. I was told I didn't need something. When I asked for it, though, I began babysitting when I was 12 to earn money for my own things. I've been working since they stopped giving me simple things like sanitary items as soon as I started. Since I knew right away that I'd have to pay for everything myself, I got a full scholarship to college. I did everything I could to get into my first pick. I love this place. I'm free and in charge of my life. It came up at dinner time. They were there with mom, stepdad, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and kids. While I was talking to an aunt who was happy for me about getting into college, my stepdad loudly said, "OP thinks her fancy college makes her better than everyone else." I don't know what was different this time, but I lost it. I told him it was sad that he had picked on me all my life because I had been a good kid. I told my mom she had no guts for letting him treat me badly, and I left, which I thought was the right thing to do. I stayed with a friend and took the train back to school the next morning. Since then, my mom has called me crying and upset, telling me I was being too emotional and that I made them feel bad. She tells me I'm not thankful because you're doing so well because of us. I have no idea. I'm sorry she's in so much pain. Some people have it worse. Having a good time. I need to get home to my family. I'm not sure. Am I making this too big? Am I the jerk? OP should answer her brothers and remind them of all the things she had to do and buy for herself when she was their age because her parents didn't want to. Ask them if that was okay and if that's how they want to be treated. Remind them of this when they come back in a few years and ask for money. The mother they have is not the mother OP had. You can tell Dad that since he is the oldest, he can figure out anything he wants. Update. These words have been so helpful, I can't say it enough. That's why I never talk about my family. I think I'm ashamed of how they treat me. This has really helped me. Not yet, but I'm ready to tell them what I need to say straight out. I'm also ready to stop talking to them, Since they don't pay for any part of my life, they have no power over me. Right now I'm sending them an email to let them know not to call me and that I won't call them until I'm ready to talk. This is what the brother texted. Mom won't stop crying. Hope you're happy. The sister texted, this sucks. Even though I love my younger brothers, I'm not going to talk to them until I decide what I want. Our niece is the first and only baby, and mother-in-law has been a pain ever since she was born. She is so crazy about her granddaughter that it's kind of creepy, so her brother-in-law and sister-in-law have had to set very strict limits. Thank you for waiting. This obsession has made mother-in-law even more determined to stay in touch with brother-in-law by calling and visiting as often as they will let her. During Thanksgiving, my sister-in-law told me that this year they were going to spend Christmas with her mother-in-law and father-in-law 2 weeks early. This way, her brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and niece could have a small family meeting with just the three of them without all the chaos on Christmas Day. My husband and I are used to having our family get together at my mother-in-law's house on Christmas Day, so this caught us off guard. Oh, they're busy, so they won't be there, our mother-in-law said. This is the first time we've heard about the early celebration, we replied. Our mother-in-law claimed that she had invited us months ago, but had not heard back, so she thought we were busy. When my husband and I went through all of our texts, we didn't find any that talked about Christmas plans. Your husband is really hurting. He's already the bad guy in the family for no good reason, and this made things worse. Seeing him like this hurts me. Note, it gets very cold where I live, and many of these nice brand coats, sweaters, and boots are on sale for a good price on Black Friday. Every year I save money so that I can shop at my own pace on Black Friday and get most of my winter clothes that day. Whenever we can, my mom and I like to go shopping together on Black Friday. She usually buys my younger sister the things I want every year. Being in my 20s as an adult and having a teenage sister makes me suck it up. I wanted that particular Michael K. puffy jacket that costs $100 to $200 for $99 last year. It's now in my cart. Later, my mom said, "Oh, my sister should have that. Let me find her size and put yours back." I said, no, I had my eye on it first, and we had our first fight. Then she tries to shame me into thinking that it would be better for my sister. She looks thinner and her legs are longer than mine, so it won't look good on me. I give up because it makes me feel bad about myself. She does this a lot, though. When I wear something nice, she says, "Your sister will look better in that." It's also hard for me because I go to college full-time and work several part-time jobs. Many times I can't buy the things I want, so I try to shop on Black Friday. My parents have cash on hand. My mom is free to buy anything she wants at any time. She usually buys my sister expensive clothes and other things. I'm not going to lie. There are times I wish I was born around the same time as my sister. She's so much better off than I was as a teenager. She always gets what she wants, like the newest iPhones and iPads, brand name clothes and accessories, a nice free car, not having to work part-time, etc. I can't say that's their fault, though. However, why should I buy the things I want on Black Friday when I can actually afford to treat myself? Why does she compare me to my sister and make fun of my body? I don't get it. First, I want to tell you to stop going shopping with your mom. She has no say in what you buy with your own money. It's okay if she wants to buy it for your sister, too. She needs to copy you. Second, I'm sorry you have to see your sister get richer than you. It hurts me to know how you feel. And if your parents aren't ready to make things right, you might not want to be around them at all. Your mom doesn't sound like she cares about you. In fact, I went shopping on Black Friday by myself this year and met up with friends, which was great. It's a terrible experience every year. I called my mom and told her I didn't want to shop with her this year. She got mad at me. She thought I was being too picky. I told her the truth. When she's around, I feel like I can't buy the things I want. Yes, it wasn't a problem for me to buy the same things as my sister, but my mom would physically take things out of my cart and put them back in so she could buy my sister's size. My mom laughed at me when I told her that we could both get it. She asked me if I really wanted to hurt myself that way. It's not making sense to me. I'm a lot like my sister. We are about the same height, but she is a bit bigger than me. I'm not mad that my parents spoil my sister then. We were born at various times. When I was growing up, money and bills weren't as easy. There is some jealousy in me, but I'm okay with that in general. I'm glad my sister doesn't have to think as much about money. I also like to treat her well. I don't mind Black Friday shopping, but the body bashing is awful.